Yeah.
Okay, in today's project, we're going to want to install this type of flooring. It's a luxury vinyl plank floor in portions of the house. What I really like about this product is that it's waterproof. It's really easy to install, and it already comes with the underlay, as you can see here. This is important. So if you buy cheaper flooring or one of those laminate ones that doesn't have an underlay, you're going to want an account to installing this, because this is what gives you two things. One is, if you're installing it on a second floor, it's going to give you a softer, less sound going down on the downstairs, and second, it gives you a little more comfort when walking on it. Things that we're going to need to install flooring. If you're going to do a lot of flooring, you're going to want these knee pads. Otherwise, your knees are going to start hating you. You're definitely going to be cutting the boards to fit, so you're going to want a circular saw or something similar, a mallet, a multi-tool, a utility knife, one of these pry bars, a level, an oscillating tool, a triangle, a kit that contains the two tools that we're going to need, a brick and one of these to help pound, as you can see, the floor into place here. Something like this is only useful if you're making some really special cuts. Otherwise, we don't need that. Okay. If you're removing things that are sticky residue, you're going to want a heat gun or a hair blow dryer. And of course, you're going to want your flooring. So let's take a look at our project here today. So what we want to do is we want to install and replace, not the carpet, we'll do that another day. We want to replace all of this here. This is basically just a peel floor. What I mean by that is, as you can see, there's flooring already, a tile type floor already underneath. Now, if I really wanted to do this right, I'd probably remove this. But frankly, as a DIY pro, because I've done this work 4 times, I'm not going to go ahead and remove that unless I absolutely have to. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to remove it from the entire entrance foyer all the way through the kitchen, and remove all of this here as well. And obviously the flooring is also in the pantry and the closet. So that's step 1, is a lot of prep work. The key thing with installing these floors is you want a very flat, clean surface. Second thing is, as you'll notice, if you really want to do this right, you're going to want to remove the baseboard as well as the quarter rounds. Now, in the 4 homes I've done this work as a DIY pro, I typically keep the baseboard because my quarter round is going to do its job at hiding most of the imperfections. Now, the reason you want to remove these is typically when you lay this floor down, you're not going to want it to be completely up against a wall or a surface, because these type of floors, depending on the temperature, they're going to expand or contrast. So you're going to always want to give them a little bit of room to move left and right, up and down. And so that's the reason we have what are called spacers typically when we're installing these things. That's these black things, and they may look a little different depending on which one you buy, but that's why that's important. So that's kind of this plan we have in place. All right, so I'm gonna head and remove the peel and stick floor. Now, the very next thing to do, let me get my tools, is we want to start removing the quarter molds across the whole area. So that's basically, to do that, you can buy some special equipment, but really this is all you need here. And so as you can see, it kind of basically just comes right off, right? And you want to be careful not to damage your baseboard. There you go. I might just get some pliers and remove that little nail over there. But that's all I'm going to be doing, folks. I got to remove these quarter rounds, what they're called. And with this multi-tool, and normally what I start doing is I just use the edge and I cut through it to start making an indentation. And then I just ply it off. There we go. All right, so we've gone ahead and we've removed all the quarter rounds. Like I said, if you really want to do this right, you also remove the baseboards. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to make sure that my flooring has a little bit of a gap when I'm installing them here. Now, before I continue the project, you can notice also I've swept through all of the flooring. So I've done my best to make sure that the floor is as clean as possible. Now, if you've got certain areas like this that are just, really glued or have some debris, take your multi-tool and I'll try to get as much of that off as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the cleaner the floor is, the better. And so before I lay down the floor, as I'm laying the floor down, every piece I'm going to inspect and use my putty knife to make sure that it is clean. So the next part is strategizing, how to lay your floor down. One style that I do, which is the easiest, is to lay the floor in the direction of natural lighting. So here I've got a window, so I'm going to be laying my floor from this corner and straight, but you got to lay it in one direction, right? So if you're going to be laying it from this wall, you're going to have to lay it from left to right. Problem with that is you're going to have to do the same direction on this side as well. So you'd have to reconnect it. So you really want to start in one side of the house, either the left part or the right part. On this house over here, I've got a closet and I've got my washer dryer. It's a little bit of an inconvenience to start from that side. I'm going to leave that at the end. And same thing, because of the way that this is styled, I'm going to definitely lay the floor going in that direction. You have natural lighting coming in this way. So with that said, based on the way things are looking, I'm going to want to lay my floor from that corner and work my way from this corner to the left and just start working my way all the way down that way. So what that means is I'm going to need to remove my oven, put it out, because I'm also going to need to put the flooring right behind there. But dishwashers are really important to remove because you do want the floor to be the same level as from where it's starting and where it's ending. So I'm going to be removing this dishwasher out before I install my floor. If you look at the floor, let's talk about the clickbait setup here. Okay, so if you look carefully, let me move it over on the black area. This side has a groove, a little indentation right here. Not sure how well you can see it here, but that is called the groove. And then on this side, I'll flip it over. This side has a groove on the bottom right here. But on the other side, it's flat. So this side is called the tongue. So when laying this down, it's just like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. What we're going to do is, like we said, we want to lay this floor from window to left. And so as I'm laying it down, I'm going to be laying it from the right side up there and bring it slowly to the left. So at the end of the day, what this is going to look like is something like this, where I start with my floor here, where I have the tongue on this side. And as I'm laying the floor that way, I'm going to be putting the tongue on top of the groove here. So the reason I say that is because we need to measure and make sure that when we start on this side, that as we're laying the floor in this direction, the end piece is more than at least, I'd say, 2 inches. We want at least a 2-inch separation, ideally 3, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to cut less than 3 inches and be able to slide it to be near flush with the baseboard here. So I say all this to say that I'm going to be taking a measurement of my board using this tape, and I'm going to measure starting from inside of the groove, not from the outside. So not like that, but inside. And I'm going to measure how wide my board is. And on this one, it looks like it's, and I'm not measuring the tongue either. So this one is about 8 5/8. Okay? So 8 5/8. And now that I know that measurement, I'm going to measure from that side all the way down here. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have too much that I have more than 3 inches of gap left over. So let me go ahead and get my measuring tape. We've got about 134 3/4. So I'm going to do some math. 134 3/4 divided by 8 5/8. However number that is, I'm going to want to make sure that I've got enough to be able to cut a final board and still be able to lay it in that part well. I'm not as worried about the cuts that direction because those are a lot easier to cut. Those I can just simply cut this way versus if I have to cut them the long way, those are a little more cumbersome. So that's all I'm going to do now. I'm going to find out how many boards I need, make sure that I have enough left over. And again, if that means that I have to cut the first board, I'd rather cut that first board than have to cut too many of these. But again, the reality is this actually doesn't feel too terrible. If I had a long wall here, right, a very long wall in the wrong direction, I'd really want to make sure this is the case. All right. We've measured. We know that we're going to use enough boards and we're going to have enough left over where I just got to cut the last piece just a little bit. So let's start laying our floor. So like I said, we're going to start in this corner and we're going to work our way out all the way to the back over here. So the first piece I'm going to lay is this one. Now, I'm going to go in and measure how much I need to put in. And like I said, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap here because I want it to be able to breathe. So I don't want it to be too flush. And I'm going to put in a quarter around here. And we're just going to start laying our floor. So this is our very first one. I marked it in here with my pencil. And now that we've cut the mark, let's go ahead and start cutting. Okay, so I lay the floor on my horse stance like this, and safety first, so always be sure to wear goggles here. And I need my triangle to make sure that we make a straight cut. So that's what we're gonna grab, and we're gonna find our mark. I see it right here. Put our triangle on it, and just make a straight indicator there. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that there we go. I'm just going to keep it in the center. And just make sure that we have a straight line to cut. There we go. So there's our line to cut. Put the rest of that in here. Move that over here. And we're going to take our machine, our handsaw, and just line it up nice and close there. What up, you? I like to keep these spare ones. They might be useful, so don't throw them away. Don't damage them. I'll keep them here for now. And we're gonna grab our board and just make sure we lay these the right way. So now that we cut that, like we said, we want to keep the groove facing the direction we're going to be installing the flooring, which is towards me. And now we're just going to slide this. Again, in theory, we don't want this to be right up to that. But like I said, when I'm installing this, I need to make sure that it is for the moment. And as I'm continuing installing it, before I get too far, I'll put a little separator there so that we don't have it be completely flush with the wall. But I'll do it a little later. So there we have one board there. I need the same size board for the next one. So I'm just going to grab my same one. And that way I don't have to remeasure things. I'm just going to take this and cut the next one. Now, here's something to consider. You don't want to grab from the same box and install them right next to one another. You want to alternate them. I've got now a total of 4 boards that I can alternate and make sure that they don't all look the same. So I'm going to grab this one next and put it here. take my measurement, make sure that these are nice and flat. This here, right there. There's my measurement. That's my good board. And we'll make this cut right away. Easy peasy. Okay. There we go. Now we've got 2 boards. We'll grab both of them. I'll continue placing my leftover boards over there in case I need to reuse them. Or you'll see sometimes it's also really useful to measure around odd areas, which you'll see momentarily. So let's continue placing our boards. Okay, there's our first one. Now, when placing these, like I said, it's all about placing the tongue, and all we're gonna do is place it in at an angle, similar to what you're seeing me do there. Now, observe, it's coming at a V, and then I'm placing it down, and it's nice and level. Now, we do need to push them in, so that's where our tools come into play. I don't need this one yet. That's for the final piece that's close to a wall, so I'll leave that there. Now, this one, you'll notice you've got these kind of grooves. So I know that it's this side that needs to go up to the board, and then we hit this side with the mallet. And that's what's going to cause it to be nice and level. Everyone has their own style for doing this, but like I said, as long as you get that groove nestled in like that, I like just making sure that you don't want to step on the board you're hitting in, but you just do want to hit it, and careful with your fingers, right? This is something when I was a rookie, I always used to hit my finger like this. Hurts like a So when you're grabbing it, I like to grab it from one side like this and hit it from that side. Observe, and look how this crack here is going to go away here. That's what you want. You want to hit it until the cracks really go away. And I work my way from one side, work my way down. Once I need to remove the other end, I simply just do that, put it here. And sometimes I find that putting my foot on the board that I'm hitting against does help. So there you have it. You can see, you'll scuff the bottom part up, but usually whether it's tile or it's slab or it's wood, not to worry. The important thing is that you're happy with the way it's looking like that there. So next up, I gotta get another board, and I'm gonna see how much I gotta cut. Okay, so this floor, obviously it's too long, but I'm gonna make sure that this is nice and straight on here, like so. And I know that I need to cut a portion of this side here, right? So based on this being like that, I know that around here, as you can see, I'm gonna cut it, just give it a little bit of room to breathe. I'm gonna cut a little bit of that inward, and this is how I know how much to cut. I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna place this just over that board there. I'm gonna keep it nice and level, like so. And I know that this board's gonna go out that way, and so I will need to cut, just make sure that we cut this. Let's just start here for now, like so. Now my measurements here, I said the first one I want to cut is around here, and let's do first cut here, and our second cut will be roughly around here. So that's our first cut. Careful when doing this. Never do what I'm about to do You could always cut your finger, but I'm really just on the edge, and I know where to go. So, same thing as before. We take our two tools here, we'll just make sure that those are available, and we now place this in, kind of lift it up a little bit, and fire. Make sure that that goes in well. There we go. That's a pretty darn good fit. And now we hammer it in. Look at that. Looks fantastic. All right, so like we said earlier, for any actual professionals that saw me start installing it from right to left, knowing that the groove is on the right side of this floor, they immediately were probably laughing at me. We're like, what an idiot. And yes, I wasn't smart, but that's okay, y'all. You'll notice I will not waste practically any boards. And yeah, I'm still a proud DIY pro, so deal with it, haters. So how do I fix this? Well, as you can see, the challenge here is I don't really want to install the floor all the way over there. I have no need for it. But I do need to make sure that the grooves line up so that this groove lines up with that groove. So how do I do that? And not just that, but I also got to make sure that when I install this board, that I cut the first one in such a way where I can put in a complete one and have it match perfectly over here, and have it basically be flush on all sides. So how am I going to do that, y'all? What's the strategy? Well, there is, again, a method to the madness. I'm going to just slide this all the way in, and I'm actually first just going to get these flush. First, I want to see how much of a length I need to cut. So there, I connected them. I'm not going to put them all the way in. We don't want that, but it's good enough for me to now know that I got to cut my first board such that you can see how I'm aligning these now. I'm going to slide this one all the way in, and there you have it. It's not that hard, and I know that my first board, and the reason I'm doing it this way is because, again, the grooves have to be all going into the same direction, so I need this groove to be on the right side, but I know that I need to cut only that much over there. So I flip it, and then once flipped, I make sure that I just follow through the straight line, and I know that I'm going to need to cut this roughly around here. And again, I'm not too worried about the perfect dimensions because I'm going to be putting some quarter rounds to hide any gaps. And there we have it. That's how much I'm going to cut to make my first portion over there. Is off. We'll place it like that, and then we'll place the next one over it. You can see I kind of damaged this, so that's not good, y'all. Like when you're cutting these, make sure they don't fall, because that might cause issues when putting it in. I'm gonna try to still save it though, and that's gonna give us the right dimensions that we want to be able to make this nice and look good. But like what we said, we now need to make another cut and say that including groove, I need at least 5 2/16. And it's okay if it's a little bit more, so I'm going to go with 5 3/16, including the groove. So I know it needs to be 5 3/16. So we're just going to measure here 5 3/16, which is right here. And make sure that's visible. And again, I like measure twice. 5 3/16. 5 3/16. And I'm going to do that throughout this entire board, or at least in a few sections, because I'm going to want to take my leveler and make sure that we have a straight line. So once again, 5 3/16. So I see my lines here, my indentations. So I'm just going to put my leveler over that, and I'm going to draw my cut. There we go. And I know that because I need the groove facing this way, that this is the part we're going to cut. So usually it's good to just kind of make some form of indentation like that so you know which part you're going to cut. See how this looks, because I'm going to use this as my templating. I know that in theory these should be pretty level, and yeah, I think for the most part it's going to work well. You know, if I lift these up a little bit, we see that I can lay that on here, and yeah, that's going to work well. Okay, excellent. So this is the right dimension. Perfect. And because of that, I'm just going to go ahead and put that one on there. There you go. And we're going to take the long piece, lay it on that one, and we'll then put the oven back in. All right, folks. So I went ahead. Look at how good that looks. I fit it in. Starts from the left, starts to the right. And now we get to the part where it's actually the fun part. I got a couple boards here. I remembered to grab different ones from different boxes. So now we get to the fun part, which is actually just laying these down. Way easier than the rest of than doing actual tight corners. So like we said before, we grab a board. We make sure that our grooves are facing the direction that we're laying, which is from left to right. So the right side has a groove, and we're laying this towards me. So the part towards me should be the groove, and the tongue simply goes in here. We start, you know, as a V. We get it in, and then we slide it in all the way through, and we just kind of put it down, making sure that it goes in properly, like so. Now we take our boards, our brick here, and we want to start hitting it in. This is where I am going to put my knee on one of them so it doesn't move on me, and start hitting this that way in to start. Like, I'll place it here, I'm going to hit it this way. And again, I'll put my knee over here like so it doesn't move on me. Okay, let's start hitting it into the place. Continue. On this side, I'm going to go on the other side so that I can hold the board with my knees. Make sure that the other parts haven't come loose. This looks phenomenal. I'm going to hit it a little bit more on this side because I saw that it came loose a little bit. And that's the beauty of the game. You kind of want to keep hitting until you're pretty happy with where should be no signs of it not being well placed. That looks like a good board to me. So next up, we will grab our next board and just continue laying. So for these are easy. Again, we want the left side, so we need the groove, this groove, to be on this side. So if I need to cut to size, I gotta pretend like I'm installing it the other way. So side by side, all the way through. Now, when I mark it, again, I want to give it a little bit of breathing room, so I'm going to cut it a little shorter. So I'm just going to cut it here. I'm not going to cut it next to the board itself. I'm going to cut it at the edge of the groove. All right, we're making progress. We got just a little bit left on the kitchen here before we go into the foyer. So as we get closer to the wall, what I want to show you all now is how to use this tool. Because this is great when you've got plenty of room, but as we get a little closer to the wall, we're not going to have enough room to hit it with a mallet. So, same thing as before. We get in our position here. We get it into the V. Get it nice into the tongue into the groove. It has a V angle. Also, you can see there. And then we just simply slide it up. Lay it down. Make sure there's not too much overlap. And then just hit it with a mallet. Go. Now, still with a brick, so, you know, if I have plenty of room like I do here, I like using the brick. As before, we push it down, make sure it's level, and then we hit it. We hit it again. Notice again the grip. I don't like having my fingers out here because I could hit them accidentally, so if you don't, always grip it like this. Never hit it at a downward angle because you might break the groove, so always try to hit it towards the towards you. So next up, this is what's key. So in the groove, I'm gonna put the part that is not sticking out like that, but this one, the smaller side, right in between the groove. And with one hand, I'm gonna hold it and push it just gently down, not too hard because then I'll break the groove, but just hard enough where, like, if I hit this here, like that, I don't want the floor to break. And that has happened if I'm not holding this down enough. So holding it down, I'm just gonna start hitting it. See, that came off and you can start seeing it could cause a little damage. So I wasn't holding it down hard enough on this side. So hold it enough, hard enough. And there you have it. It's getting a little better. And now I'll finish it up on this side. Push down on it. And there you have it. That's how you install floors. You're getting close to the wall, and we're going to do the same. So that's why also, when you're getting close to it, you don't want your LVP to be flush with the baseboard over here, because you're going to need at least a little bit to be able to get in. So that's why I like giving it maybe half an inch of separation so I can get in there. And so when I'm going to be measuring here, I'm going to be sure I got half an inch sticking out, because that's what the quarter mold's going to be good for. It's going to give us just enough to be able to hide the gap and still be able to do our work. So, all right, so we're getting a little closer. We actually just finished the closet. Closets are hard. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's tight places. Like I said, we're gonna put putty, because as much as I can measure, I got a gap there. So I'll be puttying that up. This one came out pretty darn good. I'll put a little bit of putty in there as well. But to get this size, because you know, I got this gap all the way through, all I do is I line up my piece of wood like that, and I take a plank that I no longer gonna be using but has the same width, and I just mark my lines. You can kind of see how we marked this one, and that's how I know how to cut this. So I'm gonna finish cutting this, get my last board, complete the kitchen, and after that, all we gotta do is just continue the process of going from left to right. Now, my boards, my quarter rounds didn't arrive, so right now I don't have those installed on any of the corners nor underneath any of the cabinets. So I'm gonna be putting those once they do arrive, just to complete and make this look really good. The areas where we have gaps, like here, and here, as well as here, all these door areas, I'm going to be using this wood putty. It's really great product. They have different types of colors to match flooring, and you can see it's really easy to work with. You kind of just grab it. It's kind of like Play-Doh, and I kind of just start simply tapping it in there. It's that easy, and it does definitely make these gaps a lot more pleasing to the eye. It's obviously an imperfection, but it's better than nothing, as I like to say. So you can kind of see the way I'm kind of just massaging this thing here. Grab some more. Get it. Nice and applied in there. That's very. Father. I'm trying to avoid getting it on the trim so the trim doesn't look dirty. I'll probably. And there you have it. From a distance, you won't really be able to tell that that's there. So I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. So we're now in the closet. So similar strategy. What is our situation here? We have effectively we have an entire door jamb that's sticking out here, a little gap there, and then so how do we quickly and easily be able to measure how to cut this board that we want to use here? The way we do it, like we did before, we use a breaker board So this one right here, you put it there. I'm gonna get a little closer to the door jamb, and then I'm gonna use my actual board. I'll place it on it and slide it where I want it, which is practically all the way through. And now, I take another board. Now for this board, what I did was I ended up cutting, you can see here, I ended up cutting where usually the groove goes. I kept the tongue though. So the tongue is still here, but I cut the groove because I didn't want it to extend farther out than what I needed it to. So that's how we're now gonna know how much of a board to cut on this one. So let me get my pencil. And with this all the way through, I now know that I need to cut this board right around these lines. I won't give me the most straight edge because it's not perfectly cut, but look at that. Now I know that's how much I need to cut there. I will also use this to just be able to quickly measure how much, and I know that all of that is going to be thrown away. So I'll go ahead and start marking that, which is now where we're going to use our verb tool. There we go. That's kind of what I want. I just need to flip it on this side. So that's pretty good. That gives me the entire door jamb. I'll lock it in place. So now I've got the door jamb. And this is great because I'll be able to actually outline it here. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to say that this, I'm just going to outline it with my pencil. And again, will this be perfect? No. Do I need it to be perfect? Not really. This takes us through here. And yeah, we'll go ahead and cut all of this. All of that will go. And that'll, we'll see if that gets us where we need it to get to. And if it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, then we'll just continue trying to cut more of this out. But I think that is what we're going to try and do here, folks. So wish me luck. All right, team, we finished installing our flooring. You'll see some imperfections, but I'm going to call them out anyway. So here, if we zoom in, you see that we've got a little bit of a gap here. I understand that doesn't look professional, but at some point I will remove this entire carpet and we're going to put in a formal transition that matches the color of our flooring. So that's okay. That's a decision we're going to make at the moment. But besides that, look how good that looks, y'all. We've got LVP flooring. We're going to hide these gaps next to the boards here using quarter round molding, which I'm going to show you how to do in a video up here. And besides that, let me kind of just take a look at it. Very great transitions. Sorry for the mess here. We're going to get ready to install the quarter round molding. But we've got the floor underneath the dishwasher, underneath the oven, underneath the fridge. Everything transitions beautifully. And of course, we've got the transition onto the washer dryer area as well. So if you found this content useful in terms of how to install a LVP luxury vinyl plank floor on top of an existing tile, please consider liking this video. And if you're interested in more content around DIY projects, real estate, finance, or technology, please give me a subscribe. As always, thank you for tuning in.